Lesson 52 is about fractions and symbols of inclusion. Now if we look at our first problem, we want to simplify 3 halves times the sum of 1/4 and 7/16 minus 1/8. Things we need to remember are, well, about our order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Or parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide, add and subtract. That always tells us what order of operations we do any type of problem in. So, we need to do everything in parentheses first. So we're going to get 1/4 plus 7/16. We know that we need to get the same denominator. Our least common multiple of 4 and 16 would be 16. So we're going to get something out of 16 plus 7 out of 16. We know 1/4. Well, 1/4 must be the same as 4/16. We're going to multiply all this by 3 halves, and then we're going to subtract 1/8. 4 plus 7 is 11, so we get 11/16. Then we're going to multiply times 3 halves. Then we're going to subtract 1/8. We know next, exponents, we don't have any, so we move on to multiply and divide. We're going to multiply. Okay, when we multiply here, we're going to get 3 times 11 is 33. 2 times 16 is 32, so we get 33 over 32. Then we have to subtract 1/8 from that. If we look at this problem, we need to find out our least common denominator. That's the least common multiple of 32 and 8. What is it? Hopefully you said 32, because 8 times 4 is 32. So we're going to get 33 over 32, that stays the same, minus something over 32. Well, remember, if we're looking for equivalent fractions, we've got 1/8 times some fraction equivalent to 1 is going to be equal to something out of 32. We have to multiply 8 times 4 to get to 32. So our fraction equivalent to 1 is 4 over 4. 1 times 4 is 4, so we get 4/32. So we now have 33 minus 4. It's going to give us our answer of 29 out of 32. And if we want 29 out of 32, we've got to make sure that we can't reduce that before we end our problem. Well, we know 29 is odd, 32 is even, so we can't cut them in half. 2 plus 9 is 11, so that's not divisible by 3. We must not be able to divide by 3. Not divisible by 5 for either number, and not divisible by 10 for either number. Well, we've covered everything. Every possibility that we could have, okay, is done, so we get our final answer of 29/32. And we're going to move on to the next problem. We've got another problem. Looks very simple. Looks very similar. In this problem, we want to simplify 1/3 times the difference of 3 1/4 and 1/8 plus 1/48. Let's go ahead and begin within parentheses. We need to find our least common denominator. Well, the least common multiple of 4 and 8 would be 8. So we're going to get 3 and 1/4 is the same thing as 2/8 minus 1/8. We're going to multiply all this by 1/3. Then we're going to add 1/48. 3 and 2/8 minus 1/8 must be 3 and 1/8. Then we're going to multiply that by 1/3 and add 1/48. Now remember, when we multiply a mixed number times a fraction, we've got to change that mixed number to an improper fraction. Let's do that on the side. We're going to get 1/3 times, we've got 3 and 1/8, okay? That's going to be 25 out of 8. And now we can find our answer of 1 times 25 is 25. 3 times 8 is 24. So we get 25/24. So 25/24 plus 1/48. Now this one, we've got to find the least common denominator again. That's the least common multiple of 24 and 48. It must be 48. We're doubling 24 to get to 48, so we double 25 to get to 50. We've got 50/48 plus 1/48. And we're going to get 51 out of 48. Now, we've got to think about what our last step is going to be. Our last step is going to be to simplify. Remember, it's okay to report your answers as improper fractions. To simplify this, we've got a couple choices. We know that these can't be both divided by 2 because 51 is odd, but 5 plus 1 is 6, and 4 plus 8 is 12, so both of these numbers are divisible by 3. 51 divided by 3, if we look at it up here, well, 3 goes into 5 one time, we get 3 with 21 left over. 3 goes into 21 7 times, we get 17. So we've got 17 over, well, 48 divided by 3. We'll work on the other side for this one. 48 divided by 3. 3 goes into 4 one time, we get 3 with 18 left over. 3 goes into 18 6 times, so we get 16. And we get 17 sixteenths. That's a perfect way to report your answer. If you wanted to write 1 1/16, you could. That's the right answer. But remember, the textbook will always report the answers in our answer section as improper fractions unless it says specifically to use a mixed number. So either one of these will get you full credit. We'll continue this more with our lesson practice on page 169 during our next class. Make sure you've got your notes completed, and I'll see you soon.